Okay, so picture this. A world where traffic lights are about as relevant as a rotary phone, right? Cars are driving themselves around with crazy accuracy, using all this real-time data. That's the future sensor engineering technicians are out there building, and that's what we're going to be diving into today.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're living in a sci-fi movie, but it's actually happening all around us.
Yeah.
And sensors, well, they're like the behind-the-scenes heroes of so much of our tech.
Seriously. And get this, we've been going through some research from RoleCatcher on this whole career path.
Mhm.
And the thing that really popped out first, the job market for this, absolutely exploding.
Oh, yeah.
RoleCatcher's predicting something wild, like a 15% increase in demand for sensor engineering technicians in like the next 10 years. I mean, that's almost twice the average job growth we're seeing.
Wow. Yeah, that really shows you how important sensor technology is becoming. I mean, across every industry, right?
Yeah.
And the tech's always evolving at the speed of light these days. Skilled technicians, they're going to be in demand for a long, long time.
It's like having job security, but like future-proofed.
It's exactly.
Okay, but let's like break it down here. What does a sensor engineering technician actually do?
Well, at the end of the day, it's about making sure those sensors are working the way they're supposed to. That means building them, testing them, calibrating them, and, troubleshooting when things inevitably go haywire.
So it's a mix of getting your hands dirty and using your brain power.
100%.
Mhm.
You're not just following some instruction manual. You're constantly got to be thinking, adapting, coming up with creative solutions to make sure those sensors are performing at the top of their game.
Okay, gotta ask though, what does calibrating a sensor even mean? Sounds very technical.
It sounds way more complicated than it really is. Basically, calibrating is just making sure a sensor is giving you accurate readings. It's like, think about your bathroom scale, right? You want it to show you your real weight, not some made-up number. Calibration is making sure that happens.
Okay, that makes total sense. So RoleCatcher's research, it laid out these different stages in a sensor engineering technician's career. Let's start with like someone just dipping their toes into the field. What's an entry-level position look like?
So at the entry level, you're kind of like an apprentice, right? You're in the world of high-tech sensors. You're assisting the experienced engineers. You're getting hands-on with the basics of sensor testing, helping to set up equipment, and of course, documenting everything super carefully.
Sounds like a golden opportunity to just learn the ropes and soak up knowledge from people who've been there, done that.
Exactly. It's all about those fundamentals and showing you're a valuable part of the team.
So it's like building that solid foundation before you go building the super complex stuff.
Precisely. And then you move up to a junior level technician, and that's where you can start spreading your wings.
So what sort of things would a junior level tech be responsible for?
This is where you start getting more independent tasks. You're running more complex tests. You're the one figuring out why something's not working when everyone's scratching their heads. You even get to help with designing and developing new sensor systems.
So not just fixing things, you're starting to create the solutions too.
Yeah. Think of it like this. Imagine you're part of designing the LiDAR system for those self-driving cars, right? You'd be making sure those sensors can spot obstacles in, like the trickiest conditions, like pouring rain.
Whoa, now that's some serious engineering.
It is.
But what about someone who really likes to lead and manage? Where does that fit into this whole career path?
That's where you become a mid-level technician, the maestro of the project, leading teams, really digging into the nitty-gritty of data analysis, always looking for ways to make those sensors even better.
So you're not just working in the field anymore, you're shaping the field itself.
You got it. What really struck me in RoleCatcher's research was how mid-level techs are often the ones who have to figure out how to improve the entire process of making sensors. Talk about a huge responsibility. They can make a real difference.
It does sound incredibly collaborative and fast-paced, especially with how fast sensor tech is evolving.
Oh, absolutely. Knowing your stuff is key, for sure. But those soft skills, communication, problem solving, being able to think on your feet in a field that never slows down, just as important.
So it's like you're conducting this whole orchestra of sensors, right? Making sure everything's in sync. But what about the skills you need to lead that orchestra? What did RoleCatcher say about what it takes to become a sensor engineering technician?
Well, obviously, understanding tech is a biggie, but a lot of the skills, you pick them up along the way. You don't have to be some kind of tech genius right out of the gate.
That's good to hear for anyone who might feel intimidated by that whole tech side of things. So where's a good place to start?
A high school diploma is the bare minimum, but an associate degree in something related, that can give you a real leg up. Think of it like, getting a serious upgrade to your toolbox. Makes you way more competitive.
And I bet hands-on experience is huge in this field, huh?
Absolutely. Internships, co-op programs, even just messing around with your own projects at home, that shows you're serious about learning. It proves you're not just into the tech, you actually want to use it, get your hands dirty.
RoleCatcher mentioned systems analysis as a key skill. I get that sensors are the main thing, but why systems analysis?
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. See, a sensor doesn't just exist on its own, right? It's part of a whole bigger picture. Like, imagine trying to fix a sensor problem in a self-driving car. You're not just dealing with wires and circuits anymore, you're dealing with the safety of the whole vehicle. That car needs accurate sensor data to even work.
Whoa, that puts things into perspective. Systems analysis suddenly sounds way more important.
Totally. You got to be able to see the whole picture, the whole system to figure out what's wrong and how to fix it.
It's like being a detective, but you're chasing bad signals instead of clues.
Exactly.
Now, RoleCatcher mentioned something I didn't expect: communication skills. Why are those so important in a field that seems super tech-focused?
Honestly, it's way more important than people realize. Remember those mid-level techs we talked about, the project leaders? They got to be good at communicating, whether it's to their team, their boss, or even clients sometimes.
So it's not just knowing the tech inside and out, you got to be able to explain it clearly too.
Yep. And it goes beyond just talking to people.
Hmm.
RoleCatcher really emphasized how important documentation is, keeping good records of everything.
Because even the best solution in the world is useless if nobody else knows how it works, right?
100%. Detailed records are crucial for troubleshooting down the line, for making sure everyone on the team's on the same page, and making sure everything's safe and by the book.
So it's about connecting the dots. Technical skills on one side, clear communication on the other. Now, what about moving up in this field? What kind of career path can someone expect?
Everyone's path is different, of course. But usually, you start at the entry level, like we talked about. You're learning the ropes.
And then from there, it's onward and upward.
Right. You get more experience, more confidence, and you move up to a junior role. More responsibility, more complex stuff to figure out, even get to be a part of the design process.
Okay, now for the question everyone wants to know. Salary. What's the earning potential look like for sensor engineering technicians?
RoleCatcher didn't give any hard numbers, but they did say that people in this field can make really good money, especially if they've got the skills and the experience. As you move up from entry level to junior and so on, you can bet your earning potential goes up too.
So like in those RPGs, the more you level up your skills, the more valuable you become?
Pretty much. Companies are willing to pay good money for people who can solve those really tough problems and help them stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, let's talk about reaching that mid-level position, becoming the project lead. What's involved in that?
Being a mid-level tech, it's not just managing projects anymore, it's leading them. You're in charge of teams, you're working side by side with engineers, making sure these complex sensor systems are designed right, implemented right, and working as well as they possibly can.
Sounds like you need a good mix of technical chops and leadership qualities to handle that.
You said it. You're the conductor. You're the one bringing all the pieces together, making sure that whole symphony of sensors plays beautifully.
And for someone who really wants to reach the top of the field, what does RoleCatcher have to say about becoming a senior level technician?
Getting to the senior level, that means you've really put in the work. You know your stuff inside and out. You become a mentor, the person everyone goes to for advice. You're shaping the future of the whole field.
It's like you've worked your way up to being the conductor of the most high-tech orchestra ever, right? Leading the way in innovation.
And like any good conductor, you got to know every instrument inside and out. In this case, that means knowing all the different places where sensor engineering technicians are needed. Because it's not all about working in a lab, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. It's like this career opens doors to so many different fields.
It's true. I mean, think about it. Sensors are everywhere. Your smartphone, those touch screens that seem kind of magical. Sensors are how they know what you're doing, every tap and every swipe. Or how about healthcare? Sensors are built into those imaging machines that help doctors figure out what's wrong way earlier than they used to.
Wow, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Something so tiny having such a big impact on stuff that matters.
And that impact, it's only going to get bigger. Look at cars, right?
Yeah.
Self-driving cars, that whole revolution. Sensor engineering technicians are leading the charge, developing the systems that let those cars see and react to everything around them.
Talk about cutting-edge tech. Feels like we're living in the future, but it's happening right now.
Right. And we can't forget about renewable energy. That's the future. And sensor engineering technicians. They're a huge part of making those wind turbines and solar panels as efficient as possible.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Putting those skills to work for a good cause, making the planet a little greener.
Exactly. Using what you know to make a real difference.
Yeah.
That's a big motivator for a lot of people thinking about this career.
So let's sum things up. We're talking about a career path where the job market's looking amazing, the work keeps your brain engaged, and you could end up working in all sorts of cool industries. Healthcare, automotive, renewable energy, the list goes on.
And it's a career that never lets you get complacent. Always got to be learning, adapting, pushing the limits of what technology can do. And honestly, in a world obsessed with the next big thing, that's a pretty exciting place to be.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who's got that spark of interest in sensor engineering, what would you say they should take away from our deep dive today?
Good question. I'd say this. If you're someone who loves to figure out how things work, who gets a kick out of solving tough problems, and you want a career where you're at the forefront of what's next, well, becoming a sensor engineering technician is something you got to check out.
It's about so much more than just sensors, right? It's about building the future, one cool piece of tech at a time. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one who comes up with the next big breakthrough that changes everything.
So yeah, get out there, be curious, learn everything you can about sensor engineering, and see where this crazy, exciting path takes you.